Since Ted Season 2 is going to be the last live-action version of Ted that we get to see, why not rank everything we have gotten so far, both the movies and the show?
No, the witness can object.
Overruled.
Sidebar.
Guilty.
Speculation.
Hearsay.
Bailiff.
Briefcase.
Disregard.
In my chamber.
Stop Beaver on the witness.
Arrest.
We could totally be lawyers.
Bang.
Now for me, in last place is going to be Ted 2. Now, a lot of this movie I do think was better than the original. When it comes to the storyline, or the jokes in general, I do think this movie does do a lot more that is better than the original film. Such as the jokes, I feel like are just a lot more fresher, and since they always find a way to tie back to a specific joke, I feel like this movie just works a lot better in its favor at being a comedy, and 10 times funnier than the first film. And the storyline, a lot of people do not like the court stuff, but since I am a huge fan of court and law type of storylines, I just ate this entire movie up when it came to the storyline and the comedy aspects of this movie. But what really brings down this movie is the fact that it just lost the nature that the first film had. I did say the movie is funnier, but sometimes there is just a fun nature to a film that a lot of sequels can't just reimagine, and that's the case here, where they do some things that are better, but a lot of the movie just feels a lot more dry, as if they already used a lot of their fun nature and ideas in the first film, that by the time we get to the end of this film, it kind of just felt like a nothing movie. We get this whole Comic-Con fight, and all of it was just not funny to me, and you're kind of just waiting for the movie to be over, because by that point in time, I feel like they just lost all the charm that was truly in that original film. And also at the same time, I feel like it's also trying to be this big old rinse and repeat factor, and it just doesn't work by the end. Ted 2 is a movie that should be better than the original, but since they failed in execution, it's not, which is disappointing, because there's a lot of really memorable scenes in here when it comes to the comedy, or with just what they do with the characters overall, but it worked, just not the best.
Why are you crying? My jock gets squished by the TV.
Now, the main tying point for this movie is the chemistry between all these different characters. It's a comedy, but they're still able to make you care for these characters and care for what is actually happening. One reason why I don't think this movie is as funny as the second one is that this movie focuses a lot more on the characters instead of the comedy aspect, while the second one focuses a lot more on the comedy instead of the storyline. I do feel like this one worked overall though, because you get a feel for these characters, you get the feel for their dynamic, while also being a really funny movie. Now, I did watch the show first before watching the movie, so there's just something about the show that I do like more with everything they do, but I will talk about later. Ted is just a movie that you turn on just to have a fun time with. It's not really a movie that is meant to be taken seriously. It's really just something to put on and have fun as a comedy should. This one is a great example of that. Although the second one is funnier, this is a movie that you could just have play in the background and just enjoy it for what it is. Does it have its flaws? Yes, but it's a comedy, so it's not really meant to be taken seriously. Like I did mention, I wish they did focus a bit more on the comedy instead of just the character aspect of it, but overall, this is a solid installment, and I can see how this movie sparked this entire Ted universe that we now have.
I wish I was a little bit taller, I wish I was a baller.
Hey, can I have this?
But easily the best Ted project that we have is going to be Ted Season 1 and Ted Season 2. I'm counting them both together because to me they're both essentially on the same par with each other. They took what works so well about both these films, and that is the dynamic between these two characters, and decided to make a show just focusing on that. Because from watching the movies, you can tell, and they were hinting at, that the dynamic between these two characters were probably strongest around this period in these characters' lives. And that is absolutely true, because in the show, it just shows us what it was like. And it kind of introduced all these different factors. And to me, I just love the sitcom vibe that this movie went for. And I love the new cast of characters, the family people that they introduced in this movie. To me, this is just a comedy that I wish comedies are now. The sitcom element especially, I love that aspect most about this show. And to me, throughout this entire show, both seasons, they always had just a handful of absolutely great episodes in there. For example, the last episode of Season 2 is probably my favorite of the entire show. It was so hilarious, and stuff like that I feel like comedy is missing nowadays, and it all is just represented in that show. I feel like it took a lot of risk when telling its comedy. That's why you get some random episodes out there, but that's when you also get some of the best episodes out there. I wish we're able to get more of this show, but sadly it does look like they're ending at season 2, which sucks because there's a lot more that you can do with this show, and I want them to do more with it because I grew such a connection to these characters and what they were doing with the show. To me, this show just worked in every shape and form that it needed to. The comedy was golden, the characters worked, the story worked for what it was doing, took risks, made them pay off. All of it just worked while being a commentary while also bringing the 90s flair back to life. All of it just worked. I absolutely love this show, and I can't wait to see more of Ted, even if it is in animated form. So if you like this video, maybe these ones will sound you too. Like, subscribe. See you guys next time. Goodbye.